Hi there, this is the Dementia Q&A, so question and answer session. I'm Christopher from CareChooser. We help people find consistent home carers. Now, I put out a post last week with asking for questions on dementia, and I got over 50 questions back, which is incredible. So I'm going to run through 15 of the questions on dementia, which I've got. Fantastic questions. Is it safe to drive with dementia? Why does it hurt so much? Why is there so much progress when my loved one came off drugs? I'm focused on an improved diet. So I have my computer here with the questions, and I've had a discussion with the GP on our team on each of the questions. So I have some notes here and the questions, for accuracy. I'm going to give a brief answer to each of the questions, and then I'm going to go into more detail over the coming weeks and months on our website on each question. Now, by its nature, dementia is an inconsistent disease, so it is best to seek an in-person, face-to-face consultation with your GP, who will be able to take into account your or your loved one's medical history. Do share the Q&A, and if you're watching, leave me a comment below so I know that you're watching. And if you find out anything new, then let me know in the comments below. So, the first question from Eric. Can you please educate us about Parkinson's disease dementia? How might this be similar and different compared to other dementias? Well, Parkinson's is a long-term disorder of the central nervous system. Now, the main difference with Parkinson's is that it mainly affects the motor system, and so people living with Parkinson's may have difficulty with movement and walking, and particularly using their hands. So chopping and preparing food can become difficult, and also using a mobile phone. Next question, Emmy. Is it safe to drive if you have dementia? This is a brilliant question. Yes, it is safe to drive if you have dementia. Driving is an automatic behaviour, and it's something that's ingrained in our long-term memory. So I talked about that 2 weeks ago. People that are living with dementia tend to have problems with their short-term memory, and their long-term memory is absolutely fine. So they are able to drive if you have dementia. Now, the problems are going to be with the short-term memory. So there might not be any problem driving to a doctor's, for example, but remembering where the doctor's is, or remember where you're going, or that you're going to the doctors in the first place, can become difficult. Also, remembering where the car is, that can become difficult, because again, that's short-term memory. Also, any physical disabilities can play more of an impact, so sight, hearing loss, movement, etc. So you'll need to make a judgment on whether it's safe or not, and you can get a GP to help you with that. But there isn't any reason why someone that's living with dementia can't drive, actually. Okay, next question I had was from Larry. Does having surgery speed up the disease, dementia? Well, the brain has a huge capacity, and it can cope with lots of different changes in the environment. But a person living with dementia has a reduced brain capacity, and therefore is less able to cope with change. So that's why one of the most important things with dementia is keeping things the same, keeping things consistent. Now, when you have surgery, you go into a different environment, and so the brain then has to cope with lots of different changes and distractions, which can cause a temporary regression. So it might actually be the change in environment, actually going into hospital, that has caused the regression rather than the actual surgery, which is interesting. Right, next question is from Janet. What is the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's? Well, dementia is a term for 100 different conditions and symptoms, and one of these is Alzheimer's. So if you've got Alzheimer's, you've got Alzheimer's disease, and you've got dementia. If you've got dementia, you may have Alzheimer's, or you may have vascular dementia, or Lewy bodies dementia, or one of the other dementias. I can see that a lot of people are watching. Leave me a comment below if you're watching, and where you're watching from. Next question, Sean. Why does the length of decline differ if the type of dementia a person suffers with is the same? Okay, so two people with Alzheimer's, and why is the length of decline then different? Well, it's the nature of the disease in that it is very inconsistent, and it affects people differently because we are all genetically different. Also, environmental factors will play a part too. So the amount of sleep someone's getting, the consistency of the environment, consistency of their schedule, and also diet can play an impact too. Right, next question is from Val. Why is my mum, who has dementia, fairly rational for a few hours and then totally confused by tea? Great question. Again, it's the nature of the disease in that it is very inconsistent. But it can be affected by the environment. So if she's not had enough sleep the night before, or if there's changes in the environment, that can cause confusion. And Val also asked, why does it hurt so much? Well, it can seem like you're losing the person with some dementias. Particularly with Alzheimer's, someone's personality can change. So the physical person is still there, but their personality may change, which can be really, really difficult to deal with. Also, the closer you are to that person, the more it's going to hurt. Barbara, why are childhood memories so vivid for dementia sufferers when they can't remember what happened this morning? Well, I talked about that in my video 2 weeks ago, so check that out with the bookcase analogy. So remember, people living with dementia, they usually have difficulties with their short-term memory and less so with their long-term memory. Memories from a long time ago can become their most recent memories, and so their childhood memories will be very vivid, but they may not remember what they had for breakfast this morning or what they had for dinner last night. Peter asked, what qualifications do you have that are sufficient enough to provide accurate and credible information? What are your motivations behind doing these posts? Is it to advertise your business perhaps? Yes, I have a business, but I'm also trying to provide genuine value and educate people. If they want to work with me, that's cool. And if they don't, then that's cool too. I'm a Dementia Friends champion, and I volunteer for the Alzheimer's Society as a trainer. And I've been working with people with dementia for 2 years. And as I said, on my team, I have a GP with over 30 years experience in the NHS. So as I said, we had a discussion about all of these questions in advance of me doing this video, so I could accurately answer them. Leslie, why is no one talking about nutrition? Leslie also wrote, it angers me knowing that my dad's condition could have been slowed down once we eliminated sugar, dairy and gluten and added way more fruits and vegetables. His memory came back, his aggression went away, and he came off sedative meds, which all led to a much greater quality of life. I've been researching dementia for years and years, and I'm happy to share everything we've learned. Well, I said that environmental factors can play a massive part in dementia, and diet is another one of those environmental variables, which can affect a dementia's rate of progress. So diet is one thing that will help someone living with dementia improve their well-being. Also, it's interesting you talk about the sedative meds. You'll probably find that drug companies would probably prefer you didn't know about cutting out sugar, dairy and gluten. Okay, the next question was from Lynn. Why or how do younger people develop early onset dementia? My mother died last year at the age of 62. She was diagnosed 5 years prior. We had such a short time to get our heads around it. Well, first of all, it is a myth that dementia only occurs in older people. Young people can get dementia. There's a charity called Young Dementia, so check that out. We don't know for sure what causes dementia yet or why we get it. There's still a lot of research going into this. There's research going into tablets and medication, knocks on the head or repeated knocks on the head. There's also research going on about heading a football and into boxing, but we don't know for sure why we get it yet. Next question was from Paula. Oh, this is a really good question. How or why does dementia kill people? Well, dementia doesn't kill you. Dementia is not a disease that kills you, not like malaria will. It may make you more susceptible to other illnesses like pneumonia, but actually dementia doesn't actually ever kill you. Mariam, why do people tell me I don't look like or speak like I have dementia? Again, that's a really good question. Well, dementia is a physical disease of the brain, which is an internal organ. So it's not an external physical disease or injury like a broken arm or broken leg or bleeding. So in that sense, it is an invisible disease. Next question is from Brandy. Sorry, there's a few that come to mind. How do you cope with your loved one's dementia? The best way to cope with it is making sure you've got support from family members. Make sure you've got understanding, so you understand what dementia is and how it affects people. And consistency, a stabilised environment. So making sure there's a consistent schedule for the person. Like the same consistent carer, the same family member, regular diet, having a safe environment. This is a good one. So getting rid of rugs and having well-fitted shoes are a few good quick wins that will help with a loved one's dementia. How do you help someone who knows they have dementia and gets frustrated that they can't remember? So don't show that the person living with dementia that they're wrong. Don't correct their mistakes and don't argue with them. So the best thing to do with someone living with dementia is just to play along each time. Otherwise it can agitate them. So just play along, don't show them the wrong, don't correct their mistakes. Why do you see it progresses faster in some and not in others? Again, it's the same for the other answers, the other questions really. It's about a person's genetics. That's why it can affect different people in different ways. And it's about their environment and diet. And also it's the nature of the disease, and that it's very inconsistent and affects people differently. Guillaume, does a dementia scale exist? Yes, it progresses at different rates depending on the things we've discussed: sleep, diet, consistency. Also, Alzheimer's is a progressive disease, so it progresses at quite a steady rate, whilst vascular dementia is more step-like. So a person living with vascular dementia can be at the same level for quite a long time, and then they can suddenly have quite a big drop. And then they'll be at the same level for quite a long time, and then there'll be quite a big drop. Okay, next question was from Christina. When do you start seeing the first symptoms of dementia? At what age? And what are the first symptoms? Well, it's a myth that dementia is just in older people. So as I said, young people can get dementia. So there's no age that you'll get it specifically. As I said, there's a charity called Young Dementia, but that is more rare though. Quite often the first symptoms will be confusion or a loss of the short-term memory. Remember, it's a short-term memory that's affected with dementia rather than the long-term memory. Okay, and that's it. So I'm going to transcribe these answers and these questions, and I'm going to put them in written form on our website. So I'll put that in the comments below when that's done. I'm also going to go into each question in more depth over the coming weeks and months, so stay tuned for that. If you like the Q&A, hit share and leave me a comment below. If you found out anything you didn't know before, let me know in the comments below as well. And if you know anyone that needs support, then let them know, or let their family members know about me and about CareChooser. And I shall see you soon.